I'm setting up for some filming today in the old kitchen here, and it's still damp, that towel. I'll have to put that back up later. So I'm setting up to do some filming in the kitchen for one of my unusual stories that I do on a different channel. I'll leave a link below to a couple of the stories so you can see the sort of thing I'm doing. I love my kitchen, this sort of old-fashioned type of kitchen that it is, which has been in this state not too long now, about 6 months or something like that. It's been absolutely lovely to have the wonderful Belfast sink that Sean James Cameron very kindly donated to me, and the help of Tim Tricker and Craigie boy, who came and helped me do the plumbing and then all the other bits and pieces that I've managed to do. And I really much enjoy it. So you're seeing this from the opposite end. So this is not an end that you normally get the view, because that area is not so photogenic or interesting. But I am setting up, once I've got rid of my washing, to do a reading. And I want to do it down here by my table, which is nice, a little backdrop really to read, even though I'm going to be reading it from my books, one of my own stories, and I imagine that mostly people won't be looking at the screen. They'll just listen to the story. At least that's the theory. I still want to light it nicely. I filmed this yesterday, and I was in a bit of a strange, oh, does it all matter kind of mode. Does it really matter? Can I just get away with doing it sitting at my desk in available light? And I did it, and then I thought, no, actually, lesson learnt, just make the effort, make a bit more effort. There's a light here which is trying to simulate daylight. I have got the fluorescent light, but when I actually do this, I won't have the fluorescent light on. This is just, like a working light, if you like. So that's the idea on this. And I thought I'd just talk to you as I set up, because it's something that you don't normally see. When I've done in the past these videos where I've been in the house, you can see how dark it is in my house. I know I'm a huge distance away because it's such a wide angle lens. And I've had to put lights in rooms pointing out through the doors so that you would get light appearing in the background, so that it made the house look a lot lighter. And actually a few people have said when they've come around the house, oh, it's darker than I imagined, because they'd seen on the videos that it looked as if it was relatively light. So I know roughly this setup that I'm doing. I tend to put the camera, the great thing about using the same setups is it's very quick to do. So I have a couple of lights over here representing daylight. So whenever I light, I'm always thinking, where is the light source coming from? And of course it's usually the sun, and it's coming through the window. Now, what I would love to have is better lights than I have. And although they're very good, they're just really diffused light sources coming in. But it would be lovely to set up shadows of the window, on the wall, so you see more of that. I'd love to get into a lot more specialist lighting, more creative lighting, I suppose. I'm using my Canon 90D for this with a Sigma lens, which is a lovely camera. It's got no stabilization in it, so it's rubbish for that. It's a I forget what the term is now. It's a DSLR, but it's not micro four thirds, and it's not full frame. It's the other one, APS-C. There you go. All very technical for those people who love their technical stuff. So that's going to sit there. I think I will make another cup of coffee, which I made before. I'm really enjoying the writing. When I was younger, when I was 18, well, younger than that, when I was in my early teens, I used to love plays. I used to love performing plays, and I used to love performing. Are there any other? I also used to love listening to radio plays. I love the spoken word, and I love sound effects and soundtracks. And one of the jobs I did as a young man was to work in a sound studio, and I love the whole recording process and capturing stuff. And I remember having a debate with somebody about performance. And they were sort of saying, oh, live performance is everything. And of course, live performance is very good, but it's of the moment. I guess that's what makes it special. But if people like Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, and many of the others only had done live performances, we would never have their performances now to enjoy almost 100 years later. And in some cases, it is 100 years later. And it would be lovely to have seen Shakespeare plays, for example, and other types of plays, if they had been recorded. How fascinating would that be? And I've always been fascinated with the recorded image, recording stuff. But not, and maybe I should have got into this. I know there were some people who would just point the camera at anything and film anything, as in a documentary way of doing things, as opposed to what I was interested in was much more the creative, put something together and try and film it. I've always been frustrated by either my lack of ability or the lack of the technical ability that was available to me. You know, the sort of cine film, you could only do so much. What I think I failed to embrace was, and it only came in later years, and I hope that I still embrace it, but maybe not. I mean, I think people will have a lot of reasons to argue with me because I'm very naive and simple-minded in many things, and I know that, but I am only me. You know, we are only ourselves, and other people can watch from outside the goldfish bowl and have very strong opinions on what somebody inside that goldfish bowl ought to be doing. But the person inside the goldfish bowl is the goldfish, and he may or may not have the full understanding, and only he can do what he can do, you know. So I have become aware that you have to utilize make your limitations the advantage. So if you don't have very much, make that not very much the thing that is the important part of it. Make the emphasis on the not having very much. And it's a lesson that you learn through life, because we all have huge expectations of wanting to do and ambitions, and then you learn that not everything is possible. But there are a few lucky people in the world that manage to have the luck. You know, the famous film stars who are very talented and have got where they are either through hard work, but also having opportunity to do the hard work in the first place, to be picked up and be seen. The film directors, like people like David Lean, to be able to make these amazing films that they've made, that another film director may not have ever had the chance to meet the right person to move on and do those things and realize perhaps the ideas and things in their head. So luck and opportunity are, as well as skill and talent and being in the right place at the right time, you know. So you can go through life and just not have all of that. Sometimes I feel that's happened to me, but it's a very arrogant thing to say, because I'm not saying I'm any good at anything. I'm clearly not very good at a lot of things. And and also you can go through life not realizing what you are actually good at. We're all good at something. But it's trying to work out what it is that we are good at. And don't often know. But I'm loving at the moment more than anything else, I'm very much enjoying the creative thing of writing stories and then not so much performing them, but or at least reading them or making them available. Now, I'm not saying that I am any good at these, and they may be rubbish and naive and awful and what have you. Because I never think that anything I do is any good. But I also feel that it's right that we all should have a go at doing these things, if that makes any sense to you. Okay. I'm going to need to pull this table out. That was one thing I wanted to do. I thought it might be interesting to do this sort of fly on the wall looking as I'm setting up. Whether you get anything out of it, I don't know. It's a very simple thing. But my point, I suppose, is that I'm fascinated. Here we go. I'm going to be sitting there. Camera. It's going to be a locked off shot, but I want this sort of nice atmosphere in here. Now, maybe at Halloween or something, I could put smoke in here. I've got a little smoke machine just to add a bit of atmosphere for something a bit more. But this is just, the story is, it is a story of the unusual, but it's not that terribly mysterious, if you see what I mean. Probably not. What am I doing? I want another light. There was something else I was going to say about this process. I'm loving it. I would like to take these stories out into the world and do them and be reciting them or reading them in and on locations. I think that would be quite good. At the moment, I'm just trying to hone the skill, you know, and trying to gain an audience. There seems to be no point in spending a lot of money if nobody's actually watching, which is the case at the moment. Nobody's actually watching. Now, you could say, well, is that because they're no good, or is it simply because at the moment it's too early to say, and YouTube haven't worked out whom to put them to, or maybe there is no audience for it. I don't know. But I am very much enjoying the process of writing, creating. And what I was trying to say earlier on, which I didn't get round to, was that when I was younger and 18 and all of that, I loved writing. And I've tried to write children's books. Ooh, hang on. I'm hoping I haven't unplugged the microphone now in order just to get my hanky out. I'm hoping I haven't. How are we doing, by the way? That's kind of getting there. We've got a light over here. Now, I don't know what this is doing to the automatic exposure on the GoPro because I can't really see it. So the main source of light's coming through here. There's a little bit of reflected light here, but the light is supposed to hit me on the side of the face so that it resembles the daylight, and then I should be just sitting there reading. And it's just a very simple little thing. I don't want people to even think about the lighting, and I'm, you know, not a skilled practitioner of all of that. I might actually just move that slightly back here. I've got some shoes that are in the way because this is not a real set, so I'm working around my living environment, of course. There we go. Try and have a slight bit of yellowing in there, just a bit. These lights should be higher and coming in from a higher rate. The shadows should be further down, of course, but I've got no way of fixing them over there, which is a bit of a pain. So this is an unusual video, isn't it? This is a strange old video. I've no idea what this looks like. I'm probably in silhouette, of course, because I've got all the lights behind me, so I don't know, but for the moment I'll just turn all that lot off. But you've kind of seen the setup, and then turn that off for a minute. Oh, it's quite dark now. I'm quite dark in the back here. Hang on. If I do this, he says, put a bit more light on me, you can actually see me fiddling far away in the background of the scene here, fiddling with the camera, which is going to be looking at me there. And I'm going to read these stories, which I write in this little hardback book that one of my viewers very kindly gave me. The story, I'll tell you what the story I'm working on is called. No, it's not the pink bath. That's coming up. I haven't finished that one. It's called, The Message in the Warming Pan. That's what it'll be called. The Message in the Warming Pan. Now, I did actually record this. Did I say that? And I wasn't happy with it, so I'm doing it again because I tried to do it. And look, I write all this stuff. There's a few corrections. I make mistakes when I'm reading them because I'm reading them in my very grotty handwriting. And I was saying to Julia yesterday, I said, you know, I need a typist. I need a typist to type them up so that I can read it easily and easier without trying to go through, you know, all the, I don't know if you can see that, all the red corrections and things that I do when I do that. But I spend quite a bit of time doing this now, and I love it. I love it. I love that. I love also, it's something I was doing when I was writing my kids' books. And I would have a break and walk down to the seafront. I do this a lot. I walk down to the seafront, I stroll around the pier in Worthing, cogitating, thinking of ideas. The trouble is I look at something, anything, an object, you know. So here's a jug, for example. Here's a jug, Pyrex jug. And it's got a story. It's got a story. This, I mean, I don't know what the story is, but I could have bought this from a second-hand junk shop or from a car boot sale, you know, a very useful thing. And it's interesting because when I bought it, it had some flowers, just dried flowers in there with a little card on them saying, "In memory of George." And I was intrigued, so I asked the woman, I said, "Oh, did the flowers come with it?" And she said, no, but the card, you know, these were flowers that were put on a grave. And I thought it was a bit unusual that the flowers that were put on a grave are now here. What happened to them? Well, they were plastic flowers, and they were put on the grave, but they were stolen. And why were they stolen? Somebody came along and had something in for George. He was only in his mid-40s, and he'd been an inventor in his days, and he'd invented something that people thought that he had stolen the idea from this other chap, his rival. And his rival was still alive and was still incensed and had stolen these flowers and had gone to throw them in the bin. But there was somebody coming up the other way, so he hadn't thrown them in the bin. He had tossed them into the back of a lorry. And it so happened that the person who had the back of the lorry was going around collecting stuff for charity, and also had this Pyrex thing, and then went to the car boot sale. I've just made that entirely up on the spot. I didn't know I was even going to say that. But do you know what I mean? Every object has a story in it. And you start to think, okay, why in memory of George? Who was George? What were the flowers about? What did he invent? You know, and I love that whole creative process. To me, it's fascinating because it gives you a window into real people. Even though you're making those real people up, there's facets of them that is real. I don't know if any of that. All of this is a bit surreal today, isn't it? Me setting up a thing in this thing. Anyway, I'm going to get on and do it. I don't know how long I've done. Hang on, let's just have a look on the back of the thing. Does it say 19 minutes? There we go. I'm beginning to get an idea of how long 20 minutes is for a video on a one camera, turn it on and do it off. If this has been interesting, I'm very pleased. I would say leave a comment, but at the moment, as you know, I'm leaving the comments off. One reason for that is I want it to be that you just concentrate on the video, that you're not watching or putting the video on and scrolling down and reading what other people say to help form your opinion of what you're watching. I would rather have you form your own opinion of what you're watching and not rely on other people's comments to make you think what you're watching. But that's partly the reason. It's also to stop me having to worry about what people think of me. I don't know, maybe I'm shallow-minded and too sensitive, too nervous, too whatever. Does it matter? Does it really matter? I don't think so. Anyway, I must get on because I want to get this done. It's only 8:30 as I do this. I've got to go and upload this and get this done and then come back and record my piece. And then I've got another piece to finish. And also, this morning, I want to record on another channel my Naked Englishman video. I do a podcast, and I'm going to record that. And probably as the lights are all set up, I'll probably just record it in the same setting. I might just put the chair here and move that back just so it's slightly different and talk about something else, which I've got in my mind. So yeah, busy, always so busy. And then I want to get out because it looks like the sky is blue and I want to get outside and enjoy a little bit of sunshine. So I shall crack on. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.